We have an absolute legendary giant from the world of business with us today. Joe Foster was born in 1935 in Bolton, England, and has gone on to co-found one of the most recognisable sports brands in the world. And as the surviving founder of Reebok, Joe still welcomes the opportunity to travel and recount those early stories from startup to becoming world number one, as well as talking about his brand new book, Shoemaker. Hello and welcome to Talk Business with Joe.
Hello, David. Fantastic. Very nice. Thank you for inviting me, in fact. It's absolutely nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Well, it's lovely to speak to you as well, Joe. We're really excited to do that today. You start your book with two brilliant confessions. You don't like running and you're a lousy shoemaker. Bearing this in mind, how did you come to create and develop one of the most successful ever running shoe brands, taking just under £4 billion during your time?
Well, when you think about it, it's a family business, and we go back to 1895. My grandfather, he invented, or he certainly pioneered, spiked running shoes for athletes. So really, I was born into it. There's a bit of DNA there. Yeah. How do I manage it? Well, I was a sprinter, but and my father introduced me to running at a very early age, but I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
To me, it was like effort.
Yeah.
You know, without thinking.
Yeah.
I preferred the effort with thinking. So I became a badminton player and played that to a fairly good level. But my brother, Jeff, he was an athlete. He loved running.
Yeah.
And he loved cycling.
Yeah.
But as far as that's concerned, a shoemaker, well, again, shoemaking is repetitive, like a lot of things. And I don't think I'm built for being repetitive. I want to do other things.
Yeah.
And you know, that worked for Jeff and myself. Jeff loved being in the factory. That's what he wanted. And I think he loved the fact that I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting point I want to pick up on, because you founded this company with your brother Jeff, which some people will find interesting, because some people say that you shouldn't work with your friends and family. How did you make it work, and how did you both decide who would do what?
Well, in the first place, we didn't live in each other's sort of company. We had our own company. We had our own friends, some joint friends. But you know, when we did national service, and it took us away from the family business, and we came back and we saw a business which was failing, and we think, why is it failing? Well, maybe my father and uncle, they'd gone through 2 world wars, so maybe they'd lost that energy that it takes to start thinking about a business. But worse than that is they were feuding. They were fighting with each other.
Yeah.
In fact, literally the fighting. Jeff and myself had to pull them apart on
Wow.
more than one occasion. And so you think, the business, this can't happen. Now, I think that experience, we thought, well, when we're starting out, we do our own business. And I think Jeff left most things to me.
Yeah.
He's, you know, and I think he was happy to do that. I mean, I got the blame for leaving the family business. And Jeff managed to stay fireproof. And sort of, oh, not me, not but we just got on together, and we never had a bad word. And
yeah.
And I probably did some stupid things.
Yeah.
But you know, Jeff just got on in the factory and just
yeah.
and you know, not all the things you do really come out and smell of roses. But,
yeah. And going back before that, did you find yourself being one of those sort of entrepreneurial kids? Was you in the school playground selling things before, Joe?
Well, oddly enough, I did used to do pretty good at swapping things. Yes, yeah. I did manage to get a better deal out of swapping some toys or whatever. Yes, and I did enjoy doing that. Yes, it was like, oh, well, why not? So yeah, I was probably more inquisitive than Jeff, and a bit more willing to have a chat about things and change things.
Yeah,
but so probably I did have a little bit more of that. Not being happy with the status quo.
Yeah, sure. You landed in an era when retailers already had some established brands in the marketplace. What unique selling point did you go with to help you gain market share early on?
Well, I think we started with very little money, probably no money if you think about it. We only had what we were saving. I had been married for a while. I had a mortgage on a property, and I had to sell the property. So, but there was not much capital out of that. You know, we pay a mortgage and you go and live with your in-laws, and eventually we lived in the factory. So we didn't have much money. I think our focus was mainly on, look, we can do better than they were doing at Foster's. They were not doing anything, we can do something. So I think our aim really was there's no future at the family business, let's see what we can do and build a future. So I think our initial project really was, let's get this off the ground. Let's earn a living and see where we go.
And who wore those competitors early on? Like when you first launched, what were the names that we'd recognise today?
Well, you know, we were being very gentlemanly, and we didn't go into the sports shoe business. We went into cycle shoes. Yeah. Because we knew that Foster's were doing sports shoes, we would do cycle shoes, which is a different business altogether. You know, your cycle shoes are sold in cycle shops. It's like being in the outdoor business. So really, we didn't have much competition. Yeah. There was not much around. However, our cycle business, which you've read the book, our cycle shoe business died very quickly when a brilliant agent that we picked up in London, all of a sudden he was killed in a road accident. And that took away our cycle business. Meanwhile, we had got very close to the athletic clubs, you know, Bolton United areas, Bury, and so all the local athletes started coming to us, and we were working with them. Jeff was running; he was part of the. He joined the club, so he was in there, and so we became known as the athlete shoe. We were actually making shoes, and the athletes trusted us. And our shoes may not have been the prettiest at the time, but they actually did the job. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. How did you get the business to become international? But before you tell us, Joe, let's hear from our sponsor.
EKM's mission is to enable small and medium-sized businesses to succeed online.
I absolutely love working for EKM. It's definitely a job that doesn't feel like a job.
I've seen EKM grow from that tiny office that we had in Darwin to the huge campus that we've got in Preston. It was a shame that we had to start working from home, as the office was a real lively place and full of really talented people that I got to work with.
I'm really grateful to EKM for giving me the opportunity to do something that I really enjoy every day, solving interesting problems and working on a product that hopefully helps a lot of people.
Whilst we've all been working from home, EKM has done such a good job at making everybody still feel connected. From daily catch-ups with your team and other EKM colleagues to Friday night socials like Murder Mysteries, Virtual Crystal Maze and so much more. Thanks for keeping us all going, we really appreciate it.
Amazing achievement for the whole team. It really is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Joe, you was just about to tell us how amazingly, before the internet was even a known thing, you got this business to become international. How did you guys do that?
Well, we did move into the area where we had competition, as you say. I mean, yeah, we moved in with Adidas. Adidas, of course, they covered a lot of things. We have just been covering athletics. And to get into the athletics, I had to find a way, because I used to go to the retailers, you know, sports shops. There were 3 or 4 in a town in those days, maybe one major one. And I would go in and say, look, this is my product, Reebok. And the guys, probably, I would say 60, 70, maybe even 80% would say, Reebok. Okay. Why do I need Reebok? I've got Adidas, I've got Dunlop. Why do I need Reebok? That question really hit me. They don't need Reebok. I've got to make them need Reebok. So that's when we got I had the 3A's handbook, which had the name and address of every secretary of every club in the country, 250 minimum. And so we started selling direct, and we got agents in these. So that built us up. But we got to the point that, okay, we're doing quite nicely in the UK. How do we expand our business? We can't go into football because Adidas have got that sewn up. Going into football, we'd have to go in at a lower price, and that wasn't really what we wanted. Foster's had been selling to America, they'd been selling to Yale University. And I'd met the guy, Frank Ryan. So I thought, well, why don't we look at America? You know, every college, every university has a coach, and coach is a god. And you can go to these universities on a scholarship, a sports scholarship. It's going to be bigger there. So 1968 comes along, and the Board of Trade, that was the government's name for whatever, they decided they wanted the sports trade to export. And they were willing to provide us with a stand in America at the NSGA show, the National Sporting Goods of America, provide us with a stand, provide us with return airfare, and 50% of our hotel bill and food and whatever. Well, cheaper than staying at home. You know, well, I stay home when you can go to America and they pay for it.
Yes.
So that was the beginning. And again, it was a bit like going to the sports stores in the UK. I got there, the guys were really, oh, love your product, brilliant. Where do we get it? And I'm saying England. England? Is that New England? No, not New England, England. You know, across the water. Oh, England, near London. Yeah, that's the place. However, I had 6 attempts with different people who tried to get the product into the country. But I didn't get there until 1979. That's 11 years after my first visit.
Yeah.
And been enjoying the trips. I say enjoying the trips. Chicago in February is not the place to be. It's freezing. However, it was very interesting trips. But I had to find a way in. And this is where our luck came in, because just as we got there, the running boom in America started. That was the craze. It started and it grew and grew. Yeah. And by 1975, a small magazine called Runner's World had now become a full glossy magazine, everything in there, the Bible for runners. Yeah. And Bob Anderson, who was the publisher, he decided he could tell everybody which was the best shoe. Right. So he was doing his whatever testing. And I think the best shoe was probably the one who advertised most, you know. Yeah. There's a little bit of that going around. However, I wouldn't say that Bob was bad, because we visited Bob Anderson and we talked with him. But at first he decided which was the number one shoe. That was a mistake, because every time, I think he said it was Nike Tailwind or something. Well, Nike were buying those shoes in from Japan. And like, to get the product, soon as somebody says you're number one, everybody in the country wants your shoe. Millions of orders, couldn't supply. Yeah. By the time you've wound up the machine, it's the next year, and Bob Anderson's giving you another shoe which is number one. Yeah. So after a couple of seasons, they changed this to a star rating. So if you had a 5-star shoe, and there could be 3 or 4 5-star shoes, they were the best shoes. That's what I needed. To get a number one, I couldn't advertise enough. But to get a 5-star, I knew what to get a 5-star. Yeah. We did. We got a 5-star, and that was Aztec. We designed it, made sure that, yes, this is going to be 90. We tested it out in 1978 at the Empire and the Commonwealth Games in Edmonton, and we got a lot of gold medals, and we did really well. We had Pascoe, we had Jenkins, Jeff Capes, and a few more. So we picked up a lot of medals. So by January 1979, I knew we would have a 5-star shoe that year. But the shoe magazine didn't come out until August. But so I get Kmart comes on, because running is going so big, everybody wants a piece of it. Yeah. And Kmart are a big retailers throughout the country. They're big. But being that big, they wanted 25,000 pairs. And I knew if we got a 5-star shoe, we'd need help. So I had friends in the business, and Bata, I got Bata, they're the biggest shoe company in the world. And they said they would help. I had a friend working there. Oh yeah, they would help. That's okay. But then they wanted a better price. Well, that meant going to South Korea, to the Far East. Yeah. A bit like Nike were doing, they were going to Japan. We needed a better place. So I had that lined up as well. However, we're in February, and Paul Feynman also, he came around to the stand. And Paul Feynman, he was running Boston Camping. Boston Camping was a wholesaler of outdoor equipment, tents, fishing rods, you name it, that sort of thing. And I could tell he was a bit fed up with that. There was him, his brother, and his brother-in-law. The three of them were running this company, and he just needed something else. So he said, but Joe, love to be your distributor, but we need a 5-star shoe. And I said, come on, Paul, look at this.
Yeah.
Aztec, this is a 5-star shoe. I said, yeah, but nobody knows it's a 5-star shoe except you. They will do in August. Honest, I believe you. Okay, I went backwards and forwards to America to see Boston Camping, to see Kmart. But it was the last week in July when the magazine came out, the August magazine came out. And I phoned Paul and said, Paul, just go down to the kiosk and get it around the world. We can't get it from here. You can see it right now. He did. An hour later, he came back and said, Joe, Aztec, 5 stars. Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. He said, but not only that, Midas and Inca. Inca was a spike track shoe, and Midas was a road racing shoe. They've both got 5 stars. So we had 3 5 stars. That's what got us into America.
Yeah,
we needed that hook.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we were in there.
Yeah. Another huge milestone for you guys is the category of aerobics. I know that was huge for you guys. Tell us about that, Joe.
Well, we've been doing very nicely for a couple of years, maybe 3, and the business was expanding. But we had technical reps, and the tech rep in Los Angeles was Angel Martinez. If you've not heard that name, remember it, because he is a genius. He is one of our gatekeepers, without doubt. He's in Los Angeles, and his wife, Frankie, she's going to these classes and coming back full of it. And he said, what are you doing? And she said, well, it's aerobics. And like everybody else in those days, aerobics, what's that?
Yeah.
She said, well, we're exercising to music, and it's fantastic. It's the latest music. And I said, can I come down and, look what's going on? He did. Next time, he saw the instructor in training shoes, half the class in training shoes, the other half, no shoes at all. A light bulb moment there for Angel. Why don't we make a soft glove leather shoe with a nice cushion sole just for the ladies? Off he went to see Paul Fireman in Boston, and Paul, telling Paul exactly this fantastic thing going on, and Paul saying, whoa, we're a running company, and we're doing nicely. We just, our company's building beautifully. Arnold said, but no bills. Arnold went round to the back door, had a word with Steve Liggett, our production man. Steve, get me 200 pairs of these, just a nice plain white shoe, the Reebok, and put it on a woman's last. He did. He got his shoes and he gave them to the instructors and to some of the leading girls around there. Fantastic. Not only did they love it for the aerobics, they started wearing them all the time.
Yeah.
They went to work in them, they went out in them. And when we ended up with Jane Fonda buying a pair, and in her videos, she is seen wearing those. And then, of course, it just went on.
Amazing.
This
was influencer marketing before we knew what influencer marketing was, right, Joe?
Well, it was influencer marketing. In fact, if you want to know about influencers, my grandfather, he in 1895 made his shoes when he was 15. By the time he was 20, he had a business. By the time he was 24, he had world records in his shoes because he gave them.
Yeah.
In those days, it influenced other athletes. Today, it influences street.
Yeah.
Now we're fashion companies.
Yeah.
That's no doubt.
Yeah, amazing. If you were starting Reebok today in 2021, what are the most important steps you would need to put in place to get the same result?
Well, today business is so different. When in 1958 we never even heard of the word entrepreneur or marketing. Now a business is a package. Now a business needs financing. You've got to have good ideas. You've got to have good design, and you need your influencers. So you've got to know whether if you're just starting out and you haven't got a lot of money, you need a lot of friends. You need to be knowing the people who will wear the shoes for you and make that influence. And it's tough, but we have computers now.
Yeah.
We have this Zoom. Wow. I mean, all I had to do was to get on a plane. I had nothing else. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a mobile phone. I was lucky if I had a calculator.
Yeah.
But really all I had was a fistful of American Express travelers checks and places to go.
Yeah.
So, that was it in my early days. Today, it's you could probably make a nice business, but then you need that bit of luck.
Yeah.
And you also need to employ talent if you can afford it.
Yeah.
But employ talent, but not egos.
Yeah.
Egos you don't want. Talent you do. And I'd rather have a person who will put so much effort into it that he might work a 10-hour day and doesn't even know it because he's loving it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that energy because you've got to generate that energy. Yeah. You've got to be in love with your brand. Yeah. You've got to sort of sell it every time you speak to people, every time you meet people, and that energy has got to flow through everybody. So if you're starting, first thing you need to be young.
Yeah.
Very young. Jeff and I was 23, Jeff 25. And so we left the parent company, and so what? What can go wrong? We're undefeatable. Doesn't matter. And if you do fail, it's just a step.
Yeah.
It's just, come on, we can go and do this better.
Yes.
You learn something from it. So for anybody young, is by all means do it. Get on, give it a try, and don't listen to too many people, because people will say, make a plan, do this, let somebody look at your plan. And what you find out is that this becomes so difficult. When you're small, you're young, and you're just doing something off the seat of your pants, you've just got to get on with it.
Yeah.
And give it a try.
Yeah. Brilliant, Joe. Love it. A problem that all popular brands have is having to deal with counterfeit fake products. How did you guys deal with that, and how much of a problem was it for you?
Well, and the biggest problem is the fact that you have your shoes made in the Far East and you're selling them in more often than, whilst globally, the large markets are in the West. And what happens with the factory? You give a factory, say, 4 million pairs a month, because we were averaging 5 million pairs a month when I left in '89. 5 million pairs a month of requirement. So you go to a factory and you might give them 2 million, and then okay, we need more in September or November. So you'd give them a 2 million, 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, and they would just put that together, and they say, well, that's 10 million or whatever it is, and they divide that by how many months and just keep making. Then what you would say is, oh, sales weren't so good this month. Well, we don't want that many, but they keep making them.
Yeah.
They just keep making them. And then if you don't pick up on that, they open the back door.
Yeah.
Out of the back door, they just sell them out. That used to be the end. And to them, that was not a problem. But to them, they didn't feel that they were being unethical. They got the materials, they got the workforce, and you can't just go up and down with the workforce. They just made the same amount of shoes. So that creates the atmosphere for we call it transshipping, but then they call it counterfeiting. Yeah. But it's your shoe. Yeah. It's still the genuine shoe. So unless you can really, I think they've got a lot of control on shoes now, but counterfeiting on T-shirts in particular, which is just a matter of just doing screen printing, and so many people still do that, and they get picked up for it. But imitation is the best compliment that you can have. Yeah. So it's something you have to put up with.
Joe, when we used to be allowed out of the house, there couldn't have been many days that would go by where you would walk down the street and not see your logo on either a T-shirt or a trainer. Did that still give you goosebumps, or did that wear off after a while? Did you feel like going up to people saying, "I made that"?
Well, it's surprising because our business expanded through the American aerobics market from $9 million to $30 million to $90 million, $300 million, and then $900 million. I mean, and the whole thing overtook you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's brilliant. In fact, I saw a pair yesterday. Wow, Reebok's here, and we're in the middle of France.
Yeah.
And France is not known for buying Reebok, but you see a pair. Yeah. I still count them. It's one of the problems is you're looking down at legs and checking upon shoes. It becomes a hazard. It's something you do. Yeah, I mean, they're not as visible these days since Adidas bought the company. But Adidas is selling the company. So I hope we're going to get somebody to come in and put some enthusiasm back into it.
Yeah.
And I'm here. If they want me to rally the troops, why not? We wouldn't. When I left in 1989, we were number one. We'd overtaken Adidas. We'd overtaken Nike. But that growth was so fast.
Yeah, incredible.
And I think in the long term, that wasn't too good for us. I think it meant that you were really chasing production rather than building strength. And I think that when Paul Feynman retired, he didn't manage to get the guy who could take the next step.
Yeah.
Because you can only go so far.
Yeah.
I was flying around the world 35,000 feet almost every week. And I was going around the world. I used to go around the world 3 times a year and visit. I put on 30 different distributors. After putting Paul Feynman on, I put 30. And so it was going around checking and then you get to, and we did Hollywood. We did Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo every year. We brought a lot of Hollywood people in to do the Princess Grace tennis tournament, the remembrance, and that was massive. But you do all these. We supplied Princess Diana, Harry, Wills, the royals. We supplied so many notable people.
Yeah.
And I went to so many events.
Yeah.
and you think, what am I doing? The challenge had gone. This is more meeting people and shaking hands, which is very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
But there's a time when you think it's about time to step off this and just take it easy.
Yeah.
Because you wonder where it's going. But it was fantastic. Yes, yeah. And the company, I say, it grew fantastic.
Yeah. Joe, what a life and what a story and what a book you've just written as well. Shoemaker. I was so excited to see that it's now coming out in a paperback version as well. And I know you guys are so kind. You're actually able to buy a signed copy through your website, right? That you actually were signed for people and send out in a post. Tell us about that, Joe. Where can people get that from?
Well, they can come onto our website, which is, you've got Julie, Reebok. jwfosterheritage.com.
Yep.
Julie's the organizer around here, so so if you want a signed copy, you can get it through our website.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can buy it through Amazon and any other.
Yeah, brilliant.
Top retailers, yes.
Well, we're going to put a link to the Amazon and to your website and your social media in the description below. Joe, thanks again for your time today. Before you go, do you have any closing thoughts? And what is the best way for people to keep in touch with you?
Well, the paperback, which will probably get bigger sales, the paperback is out on the 10th of June.
Yeah.
So we're giving it some push. And yes, it's a new challenge. Yeah. The challenge was to get Reebok to a #1 brand. Now the challenge is to get Shoemaker to the #1 book. So we're doing that in the UK and in America. We're pushing it hard. So yeah, we want it to be a #1 book.
Brilliant. Well done, Joe. You've been working very hard on various podcasts around the world. It's been a pleasure listening to you speak about your journey. Thanks again for your time. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, David. Thank you very much for the invitation and good luck.
Thank you so much. Brilliant.